Hi there, and welcome to my Foundation and Breakthrough Guide for Tale of Immortal. I'm Icon, and this video serves two purposes. First off, I want to explain you how you can progress from the lowest stage of a cultivator to the next level, and after that I also want to introduce the breakthrough system, which is depicting how every further progress up the ladder works. So let's get started. You find your breakthrough menu here in this area or under the hotkey J. This is your menu where you can rewrite your destiny. This character is already on foundation level, so let's ignore all this up here and check out this part here. When you start at the game, you start out at the cultivation level of a Chi refiner. It always works like that. There's two steps where you can break through. Like there's the early phase, the middle phase, and the late phase. And if you check out the other sections here, it keeps working like that. And every time to make the breakthrough between early and middle phase, you need to use a certain resource. In the G refining phase, which leads ultimately to the foundation, you need to acquire for the first breakthrough a G refining pill, which you will receive over the course of the tutorial. There's nothing much to break your noggin about. And the middle to late breakthrough features the tier 2 refining pill, which can be bought at every market. Overall, the items you will need for the breakthroughs have very precise tooltips about the whereabouts where you can acquire these, always. So the interesting part comes when you have reached the late stage and have filled your experience bar to the brim. To fill that experience bar, by the way, you need to search for Chi in the vicinity of the world, which is depicted as a blue glimmer. Let's see if we can find, yeah, this stuff here. You step on top of that, and then you cultivate and you accumulate that Chi and transform it into experience. Other ways of acquiring experience are interacting with other cultivators, like debating with them, training with them. All manner of different things yield cultivation XP, but the most direct way is to absorb these blue baubles there. So once you have filled that up, you are eligible for the breakthrough. But then stuff starts to be a little bit more confusing, because unlike the first two steps, you have different options here when it comes down to the breakthrough method. So you can do your foundation breakthrough either on a mortal quality, earth quality, or heaven quality. The mortal quality is the lowest, earth is mediocre, and heaven is the highest. When you click them, you get this screen here depicting what kind of items you need. This is at the first glance pretty overwhelming and confusing, but believe me, it's actually quite easy. So for the Mortal Foundation, we see we need one of these materials and one of these other materials. First off, don't do the Mortal Breakthrough. It's actually the worst thing you can do, and only really recommendable if you have no clue how this game works and you want to get through that stage real quick. It would work like that. You would buy that foundation elixir either at the local sect of your trust, which you have to be a member of, or you craft it yourself by buying the blueprint in the local city and crafting it yourself via alchemy. I exclude this so much because the effort to receive this elixir in a agreeable quality is pretty high compared with the horrible stats you gain from that. So in theory, you would buy that recipe, buy yourself a cauldron, and start alchemizing until you have that foundation elixir on a high quality, at least G2, better G1. I'm gonna explain why when we go over to the next one. It has something to do with the success rates. You see down there, breakthrough success rate. I'm going to explain that in a minute. So the Foundation Earth method needs you to acquire other items, completely different materials for the breakthrough itself. So you see here at the mortal level, you need these elixirs, and at this level, you need 3 of these Chi orbs. These can be acquired by either farming monsters in certain areas or slaying bosses. On top of that, you need these treasures. I will explain the treasures once we are done with this part here. The Heaven Foundation method is basically the same like the Earthen one, but it needs you to have to acquire each of these orbs. This is the hardest one and yields a enormous stat bonus, whereas the Earthen one yields a large amount of stat bonus. This video will focus on the Earthen Breakthrough. And when you have understood that, you know how to grind the Heavenly. No problem. Okay, so we need to know now how to acquire these chi orbs and how to acquire these treasures. These treasures and the chi orbs are pretty nicely interlinked. So let's get out of this menu and talk about these chi orbs. So when we open up the map, you see there's sometimes areas like here, the Blazing Lands or the Quicksand's Reach. There's 6 different areas like these, and each of them reflects one of the 6 elements. They're basically the lands of these elements. Down here we have the Quicksand's Reach, which reflects the earthen element. When you roam into these areas, you will randomly encounter monsters which drop chi shards. These chi shards, once you have accumulated 100 of them, can be fused into a earth chi orb. These are the materials you need for that breakthrough. So basically, the easiest way to do it would be to roam around, kill monsters out of 3 different elemental areas, fuse up their chi orbs, and you have those. Then you would only need to work for the treasures. There's one thing, though, which I really want to recommend. Sometimes in the news you see something like that. A Coatl appeared near Huajia's city in the Lightning Lands. Whenever a boss appears in these elemental areas, that's your jackpot. You will find these bosses in the respective area, so you get the pointer, you need to find where that city is, and you need to find the Lightning Lands in the vicinity of that. These Lightning Lands are the same like this area, they are equally huge in their expanse, and there will be a boss sitting in that area. This boss does not only drop one of the treasures you need for the breakthrough, but also this boss will drop 1 chi orb. So the lightning boss will of course drop the lightning orb. The neat thing there is, and let's get back into the inventory, the orbs that are dropped by the bosses have a very high purity. So you see this earth orb I got here has only a purity of 49%. The ones you get out of the bosses are always 90% purity or higher. The ones you craft yourself, it's pretty random. You see, this one has 72%, this has 49%. Why are these percentile ratios important, you might ask yourself? The average of the purity will be used as your success rate. So you have 3 orbs, and let's say all of them are 90% purity, then your success rate of your breakthrough will be 90%. If you got only 40%, the success rate will be 40%, and so on and so forth. So you want these orbs in high quality, and therefore killing these bosses is really, really good. Keep a track on these and kill them whenever you can, because they are really the best way of getting you to the next level. I'd strongly recommend you to be at least at the late chi refining stage for that, and you should have some decent skills equipped, preferably some mind skills which yield you some stat bonuses, defense, health, attack, all these things before you go hunting these. So let's talk about these treasures a little bit more, because hunting the monsters outside of the world is not the only way you can acquire these treasures. So let's talk about the other way. You see here, can be obtained by slaying Dankang in Land of the Spirits. So let's talk about the Land of the Spirits. The Land of the Spirits is an area which looks like this. It's a crystalline palace, and you can go there, invest 500 spirit stone, and open a dungeon. Inside this dungeon, you will find one of the bosses you would normally find only in these elemental areas, and you can go and kill him. These encounters in the Land of the Spirits almost always yield one of those treasures. So TLDR, you get those chi orbs out of these elemental areas, Low purity if you just grind the monsters, high purity if you go directly for the randomized boss hunt, and you'll find those treasures also from the bosses in the outside world and from the bosses inside the Land of the Spirits. Later on, there are also upgraded versions of the Land of the Spirits. I think it's called Land of the Arcane or something like that. You need to put in more Spirit Stones and you get harder bosses out of that. That's the same method for the Foundation afterwards, but more of that in a minute. So once you have these orbs and these treasures, you're eligible for the breakthrough. Let's talk about these treasures for a second. As you see here, they all have their own array of stats, and you should always try to install in your breakthrough the artifacts or the treasures which reflect stats that you want to have in your build, because you will retain those stats after all. So this is how it works. You acquire the orbs, you acquire the treasures, and then you can go for the breakthrough. The Heavenly Foundation, as you see, needs 6 of these orbs and 3 of these treasures. Basically, Earth is the quicker way, and Heaven is the grindy way. I personally like to say only go for Heavenly Foundation if you are playing on a high difficulty level or generally you feel like you're struggling with the difficulty of the game. Otherwise, Earth Foundation is absolutely good to go. If you're on normal or hard difficulty, I'd personally say don't sweat it too hard and go there, because this breakthrough, in my personal opinion, is mainly meant to give you a good way of grinding yourself up when you're on really high difficulties. Let's talk about the breakthrough menu afterwards. I mean, once you are through with that and you had a high enough quality on these materials, you're just good to go. If your quality was not high enough, though, you will suffer a tribulation. There's always a 10% chance of that happening anyway, no matter how hard you work, and that opens up a little mini game where you have to dodge lightning strikes. And to do breakthroughs more reliably, I'd strongly recommend you to equip some mind skills in this area here, which give you more HP or more defense. I haven't tried out yet if spiritual resilience is actually dampening the damage of the tribulation myself. I'd be really happy if somebody who knows more might add that information into the comment section. But if you equip mind skills which boost up your vitality and your defense before you do the breakthrough, you're not going to do anything wrong, because the beefier you are, the higher your chance to survive tribulation. You can also just go for low quality orbs here and try to tank out the tribulation, because the breakthrough will succeed. Don't get fooled by the success chance. Success chance only depicts the chance of suffering for tribulation when breaking through. That's all. If you survive the tribulation, you're still broken through. You don't need to do it again. So after that, the game continues. Once your foundation, your early foundation, then you need to achieve this amount of experience, buy the foundation pill in the city, acquire the next amount of experience, buy the foundation pill in the city, and then you need to acquire other things for your breakthroughs. These treasures here are spawned from other bosses. They come from the Land of the Arcane, or they're just roaming around in the Lysae area, which is the next tier of areas, and you need to alchemize yourself that chi condensation elixir, and when you check it out, the next level is going to be another pill, which you need to buy from the next town, next pill, and so on. It all grows a wee bit more complicated when we want to go for the golden cores, where you have to find a lot more different things, but we're gonna get through on this topic in a different video. But it's basically just the same thing like we already did with the foundation. You're looking for the catalyst, which defines your success rate, and you're looking for the treasures, which define the stats you will gain when doing the breakthrough. Basically, the higher the breakthrough, the more treasures you're allowed to apply, and therefore the more stats you're allowed to apply. And that's how breakthroughing of this game works. This is a big part of the progression chain of the game. And once you've understood these basics, you're basically good to go to grind yourself up all the way to Transcendence. Alright, so that sums it up. I hope that was helpful for you. If there are any questions, or if you feel like I missed out something really important, the comment section is there for you. Also, consider leaving a thumbs up on that video if you found it helpful. It would help others to make it more visible. And of course, check out my channel. I do daily content, so you might want to subscribe there and turn on the notification bell. Have a nice day, friends, and see you next time. Bye-bye!